on the home front this week. We are really excited to have you all with us again. Next guest is another awesome mom, and her name is Kelley Williams Bolar. And Kelley is also a great story about the need for freedom and education. So imagine you're a mom and you are living in a school system, a school district where you feel your children are unsafe. You feel they are not getting the best education. And so you're looking at other options and you pursue one of those options. And because you have pursued that option, your father who loves you says, why don't you use my address so that your girls can come to a better school? So you do that. And the next thing you know, you're put in jail for trying to better your children's lives and protect them. This should not happen in America, and this is a story that every mother in America needs to hear. Kelley Williams Bolar, thank you for joining us on the home front today.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm totally honored.
Well, I just want to jump right in and make sure that we get your story out there, because I remember when I was having a conversation, it's even worse than most people know. What you read in the news about what happened is just a fraction of what actually happened. And I remember yesterday, when I was going through and just kind of reading through the old stories again, the way that they set it up, the way that they make it sound like you're this horrible beast because you lied and deceived the system so that and they made it sound like you're this horrible person, horrible monster, because what about all these other children who aren't getting a good education? And I wanted to be able to stand up and say, yeah, what about them? Give them that opportunity too.
Exactly.
So it was ridiculous. So this is good. I just have to warn all of you. You are going to hear this story and you're going to say, this can't be true. Mm-hmm. It is 100% true. And Kelley is not the only one facing it. And if you ever cross the path that she's talking about, you will face it too. It is real, and it is something that we need to address. So Kelley, tell us your story.
Okay, so I'll take you back to 2005, 2006. My kids were in school. They weren't, doing the best, and there was some bullying going on, and, it wasn't a good environment. And the area I lived in was not the best area. I had just gotten a divorce, and I was in school, I was in college, and I was subbing as a paraprofessional, as a teacher assistant in a particular school district. And my father lived about 3 miles away from me, but he was in a suburban area, which was Copley, and I lived in Akron. So he would tell me periodically, bring them out here, let them, I'm here. I can watch them, make sure they're safe, catch the bus or however, and we can just, until you graduate from college, we can just, make this, make it, just make means meet. And so eventually I said, okay. So I took them out there. Their first year, everything was fine, nothing. Their second year, at the beginning of the year, I received a letter, and the first sentence was, we have clear and convincing evidence that you do not live in the district. And I was like, oh, okay. So we went to the courts, went and got something called a grandparent power of attorney. And we got that from the, courts, and we gave it to them. And I guess by that point they were really upset. They were like mad, because it was basically like too late. Too late. But the court said, let them stay. That June, I guess they had been, going against it. So that June, I got a letter from the court, from Judge Teodosio, and she just said, just remove the kids. And everything will be fine. I said, okay. So I did. I removed the kids in June. A whole year goes by, 18 months go by, and I received this indictment. And it says Ohio versus Kelley Williams Bolar. And I didn't know what it could have been. I mean, this is like 18 months later. This wasn't like it came up a month or so or 6 months later. This was 18 months later, right before the holidays. I remember it was in November. And so we didn't know what to do. I remember calling my father, and I told him, I got this. It came in a postcard. And I said, I got this card and it says Ohio versus Kelley Williams Bolar. What is that? He didn't know, but he knew more than me. And so he was like, bring it over now. Let me look at it. And the same day he received one as well. So now the process begins. So we go to court. We don't know who it is. We go to court. We're trying to figure it out. And of course, it was the Copley Fairlawn City Schools. And they were, charging me and my father with grand theft, tampering with documents. And it was another
Wait. I'm sorry. I just have to pause. Grand theft?
Grand theft. It
Grand
was
theft.
like, yes,
Okay.
it was, yes. Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And my father, he didn't enroll the girls. Only I did. He never enrolled my girls. It was all, me. I had physically enrolled them, used my father's address. My dad he didn't do anything, but he also got charged as well. So, I want to make sure I get everything. This was a lot. Okay. It was a lot of stuff that had happened during this time. And I did suffer a little bit of post-traumatic stress behind it because, when I never had anything traumatic happen in my life, never been in trouble, never went to jail. So when something really, really traumatic happens to you, you can sometimes, it's different symptoms. You can sometimes, you want to make sure you remember everything. Like right now, I want to make sure I'm very detailed, but sometimes you can, off and on forget little details of things. Plus, it was a little while ago now, too. But so the process began. We go to court. We get a jury, and the process began. And they found me guilty of grand theft, tampering with documents. I went to jail. I went to jail. I was to serve 10 days in jail, but I ended up serving 9 of the 10. And I was on probation for 3 years. I had to go get the mouth swab, fingerprinting. I had to write a letter to the judge saying what I did was wrong. I had to do community service. I had to do
it was 3 years, right? 3 years of community services. That's absurd.
Yeah, yes, and going back and checking in every month with my probation officer, to make sure that I wouldn't like flee or go out the country. I have nowhere to go, and so it was very intense. And the thing of it is that my father, they charged him. They had to drop the charges literally almost when all this process began, because again, my father, he didn't do anything. My father was old. He was elderly. He had every ailment you could think of that a man could have: hypertension, gout, sugar. He had everything. He was very sick. He was going blind. They knew that they could not charge him, so they had to drop the charges. But what happened was they ended up trying to find anything they could. I don't know how much you read about me and my dad or about my father, but if you look at the information, they said, well, we're going to charge you for. My father was getting medicine. He was getting medical because he was sick, and so he was getting medical like SSI, and he should have been getting disability. But he didn't know the two. He didn't know the difference between the two. And he didn't know that at a certain age, it goes over to maybe at a certain age, it goes over to disability, if I'm correct. And so he was already like a year past that. So they basically said, well, you stole $100,000 worth of medical. So we're going to take you to the penitentiary where he died. My father never came home. Mind you, my father had never been in trouble, ever. He was a good man. And he served his family, and he loved us dearly. And he goes to jail to be beside these rapists, murderers, just all kind of things, So it just frustrates me, and it makes me so mad that the system was so venomous to wanting to prove a point to me and my family and to the world that this is not, acceptable. Yes, okay, I did wrong. Punish me, but don't make us go to the penitentiary or to jail or, my dad to die there because of all of this, because they were so upset because all the people were actually, they were coming to our aid. People were calling and they were getting letters and emails about, you're going to send this mother and her and the grandpa to jail, for district jumping. That's what it's called, district jumping. And so, oh my goodness, sorry, ooh, almost lost it. But yeah, it was very intense. It was a lot going on, and I'm just I'm really kind of glad. I love telling my story. I want people to know. I always believe that why are we here? You know, why are we are here to tell our story. We are here to, whatever your story may be, you know, that is one of the things I've always truly believed in, especially when all of this happened, because either you're going to help someone else get out of their situation or inspire someone else or encourage someone else, because people know that they're not alone in the fight. You know, I'm just a mom. I'm just a mom that wanted my kids safe. I wanted them educated. And I just wanted to get through this. I was newly divorced, and my parents were all that I had. And now I'm not the only person across this country that's like that. There's many, many moms that need support, that, you know, maybe they've always been a single mom, or maybe they've just gotten a divorce or whatever, but they need help. And instead of punishing someone who, you know, I didn't have a degree. I was, you know, basically poor. I was on assistance. I was in college, you know. I was only on assistance for a short period of time, because that's what assistance is for. It's to assist you until you're able to, you know, be on your own. So I was only on it for a short period of time. But what I'm saying is that, you know, when you see a mom struggling to put someone, you know, in jail, or to give them a felony, you know, thank God our governor at that time, John Kasich, he came to my rescue. He just had basic common sense. He was like, there's no way you can go. We can't begin to start putting every mom, single parent, dad, grandpa, grandma in jail for district jumping. We can't do that. So luckily he came to my rescue, and he was like, no, we're going to, you know, and I keep his placards right here. It's really, I don't know if you can see it. He sent me this, and I keep it on my wall, and it's my freedom papers to say, no, you know, the governor stood up for me at that time in my life. And he helped me get through this, you know, time. And he took those charges. He brought them down because they were felonies. And well, how could I have been a productive citizen in society if I had received two or three felonies? Then, you know, what good would I have been? You know, and I explained these things to my daughters when all of this happened. I sat them down. I explained to them, Mommy did tell a story. I told a story because, you know, of course, we all know it's because I wanted you guys to be safe. I wanted you guys to have a good school. I mean, their school system was everything. It was so good. Let me tell you real quick. I don't know how much time we have. So I go to the school, and this is the day I get ready to enroll them. And the elementary principal, he comes out, and he was like, let me show you around. I'm like, okay. This man shows me around. They got a greenhouse. They got acres of land. They got all the resources. They got this computer IT room that's fabulous. She's at that time was only in the third, fourth grade. She would have had the resources that she had there versus the resources that was at the school that she had attended were miles, millions. It was so far apart from each other. It was ridiculous. So just to see those kind of things, it just makes you say, wow, you know, why is it that they have all this? And why is it that, you know, all our kids should have the equality of equal access and equal quality of education across the board? You know, my kids in the inner city schools were using third, fourth, fifth, sixth editions. So, yeah.
So, boy, you have brought up so much, and I'm just going to get raw here, okay, because this story infuriates me. And there were a lot of things that I was reading in the last couple of days as I was going back. Okay, so here's one, okay. One of the articles said that the reason why this was such a horrible offense and made you out to be some kind of villainous criminal was because you were stealing from the community, because the taxes that go to support that school need to come from the people who live in the community. And I'm like, wait a minute. Her dad lived in the community. He was paying taxes to that school, and his grandkids.
But they didn't hear that.
No.
But they didn't hear that.
No. Okay, so then there was another one that said, well, the reason why they were, you know, basically throwing the book at you was because they wanted to set a precedent. They wanted to set you up as a deterrent They wanted to dissuade other mothers, and it was almost like, I can't remember this quote, and it wasn't exactly, but it was literally like they were saying, well, we have to prove, we have to set her up as this is wrong, or else other mothers might get the idea that they can do this for their kids too. And I'm like, right, so
Right.
let's do that. Okay, then the other thing that came up, and this really ticks me off, 3 miles. I could not get those 2 words out of my mind. 3 miles. You went to that one school and you saw everything that you had to offer. And yet the government officials were telling you that you had to stay in this little box over here because that's where you lived and that's all you're good for. That ticks me off. And it is happening in inner cities and minority communities all over the country. And then that brought me back to the whole dissuade thing again. We can't have other mothers being empowered to know that they can fight for their kids. No, that's exactly what we need to do. And
Yeah.
your story is one of the most empowering stories that I've ever heard. And it was your words when you were walking out of court, when you said, I did this for my kids. That's just it. I did it for my kids. Every mother has a right to do that. The property values in this country. Let's think about what this district thing means. The property values in this country are based on the value of the school. And nobody really talks about that. But anytime somebody's looking for a home, one of the first things they'll ask the realtor is, are they good schools? Do you know that the realtor is by law not allowed to answer that question?
Oh, no, I didn't
They
know
are
that.
legally not allowed to answer that question. But they can they can say, well, you can go here and get information. They'll have the scorecards for the state and tell you, what school has good marks or whatever. But all of the property values in the United States are based on school districts. If people think it's a good school, then people are going to want to move in there, and the property values are going to increase. The homes are going to be, they're going to better their homes, better their communities. If the schools are not, then the property values are going to plummet. People who are looking for a better life for their kids and their family are going to move. And then what do you get left with? You get left with the worst teachers, the worst curriculum, the worst schools, the worst administrators, because who wants to be there? That is a huge tragedy. And that is something that I wish that more courageous government officials would stand up and talk about. I want to echo the words of Rebecca Fredericks, who we just had on. We need to get rid of the Department of Education at all levels, federal, state, and we need to go back to common schools where parents can choose for themselves what is the best school opportunity for their kids. And it's just as simple as when we lived in Virginia, we had 4 different high schools. And there were kids who were really into soccer, and one of the schools had a really incredible soccer program. And they just wanted to go to that school. And they were told they couldn't because of where they lived. That's ridiculous.
Right.
You should be able to pursue the best opportunities for your children. You have just empowered a whole entire nation of moms to do that. So what those government officials and union officials and everybody else that came after you did was exactly the opposite of their intent. They did not dissuade because you, as a mom, had the courage to stand up when the world was caving around you. And you lost your father because of it. Your life was turned upside down because of it. What do you want to tell moms across this country who are in those kind of situations, and moms who are hearing you who maybe can do something? Because this is affecting us all. It doesn't matter if we're in the exact same situation that you are. We could be you, regardless of where our kids are going to school. What would you say to moms?
I want moms to know that you have rights. I didn't know I had any rights. I just was going along because I was ignorant. I didn't understand. So just knowing that you have rights, and it's a disservice to us as parents to not know this information. We are just going along in life and thinking, okay, I'm going to enroll my child here. This is where they're going to go. And we just have to put up. No, we have rights. Oh my goodness. Can you see me?
We see your beautiful picture on your phone.
I'm not sure. Okay.
There you are. There, you're back. You're back.
Sorry. Okay, so just wanting parents to know, moms to know, we have rights as parents. I can't say that enough. To get involved, to make sure you are on top of things at your school. Get involved with these teachers, administrators. Make sure your child is getting the services that he or she needs. We got to be involved, and it doesn't just stop. Like when you get to high school, it doesn't say, "Oh, yeah, I can sit back." No. Stay. Now it's even more to get involved. More, you have to just get engaged even when they get to high school. Don't stop. And just I believe that if we continue to stay empowered with one another, this eventually, we don't know how long it's going to take for this to go across the board, where all our children will be equally educated, or at least very close, bridging that gap, that hopefully we can have a better life for our children than we did have for ourselves even.
I love what you said about equal access. This is where equality really comes in. Equal access and equal opportunity in the education system should abound. And what's happening is we are being limited. And whoever they are out there deciding what a school district is going to be, and whether or not you're allowed to quote district top, that's a dumb phrase. It should just be about equal access, equal opportunity. It shouldn't be about you get better opportunities because you live in this area. And it truly does absolutely infuriate me. But there's some good news, and lots of good news in this story too. So you did graduate from college, and
Yes.
you are now in the school system. What are you doing in your professional career now, working with these kids and in the school system, to make a difference where you are, based on what you've learned and what you've been through?
Okay. First of all, I just love being able to be in a classroom, be engaged, and talk to the students. I do work with behavior students, but that doesn't mean that they can't learn. They learn just as well as anyone else. So I just have a joy of being able to influence them and talk to them, and especially the students who come in that's maybe have I don't want to say a chip on their shoulder, but they're upset every day, or they're having issues, emotional issues, mental issues. And I love being able to actually tell them my story. So that breaks down boundaries. So then they like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm just a mom like everybody else, and I work here. But a lot of times kids think that they think that you live, sleep, and eat at the school. No, I live. I go to the grocery store. I ride a bike. I do that. And it's so funny because kids, they look at you like, oh, you're regular. Yeah, I'm regular like everyone else. And so I like to be able to tell my story to certain students that maybe are really having a hard time in life. And then they'll go home, and then they'll look it up, and then they'll see me going to jail, and they see the whole, situation, or maybe they'll ask their mom, and then their mom will say, yes, I remember that story. So that right there is very impactful for me. It makes me feel good because that's direct. I'm directly dealing with the students. And then of course, being able to be engaged and talking to administrators, or, when we're doing our in-service, or when we're talking about what's going on in our community for our kids, So I just love being involved. That means a lot to me. And I just want to make a point. Many of the people that were writing, was only one particular person that would write something horrible about me. The reason why this individual would write so horrible, because he lived in the community. He lived in Copley. But he worked for Akron Beacon Journal, and his name was Bob Dyer. I don't care. I'll tell you the name. And he would say anything that he could to defend his community, because every time if they noticed that I did something on NPR, or if I did anything on a level of national news, then they would call him. And then he would write up an article, and he would just say, she's doing this and she's doing that, and she's such a beast. And I'm like, I'm just telling my story as I should. Who doesn't tell? They wanted to shut me down so badly. And it's like, how do you shut down something? So this should never have happened. And I hope to God that it would never happen to another parent out here, that all they want is their kids. I didn't go rob a bank. I didn't hurt anyone else. My dad didn't hurt anybody else. All we did was, we were a close-knit family. All we did was love each other and protect one another. And if that was wrong, then I don't care, because I'm always going to tell my story, and I'm always want people to know what happened. Yes, I also explain to people, yes, I lied. I'm not saying I didn't lie. I made a mistake, but does that fit the crime? Does the punishment fit the crime? So that I kind of spewed off there for a second. I'm sorry.
No, I love what you're saying. Your story needs to be told, and one of the main reasons why your story needs to be told, and why they tried to shut you down and silence you, is because they know the power of the story. Because the truth of this is, they know it's wrong. They know it's not just. And what you are able to do with those kids in the classroom, what you were able to do on national news, what you're able to do in the environment and in your sphere of influence right now, is show people injustice and winning, because justice wins. And I have to say that I have had some definite disagreements with Governor Kasich, and have some issues with some of the things that he's done. But I'm like, dude, you got this one. He did it right. Common sense prevailed, and he did the right thing. And you got to give him major props for that. I want to make sure that everybody knows about your book, because it's going to be coming out the end of May. And I love the name, The Mom. I just have to say that after hearing your story and getting to know you, The Mom is the perfect title for you, as well as the book. So the book is called The Mom, and it's Kelley Williams Bolar Story. And it comes out May 30th. And please, you can find it on Amazon. Booksellers, you need to go and get this book. Read this story, hear the full. It's unbelievable what this mom had to go through, and how wrong it was. But now the world knows. And I know you're probably feeling the same way that I did when I went through a situation that was extremely difficult. I kept saying I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Mm-hmm. But I get on my knees and thank God for the experience, because I am wiser, I am more courageous, and I've become a fighter, because I've seen injustice face close up. And now I'm going to fight for justice. And more families, more moms, more dads need to know, you are not alone. We need to unite together, and we need to stop stepping out of the process, and we need to jump back in. Yes. So if you guys want to learn more about Kelley, get her book. Also, Kelley has become our Ohio State Liaison for Moms for America, and we are absolutely thrilled and honored to have her. So if you live in Ohio and you want to get involved and join this mighty movement of moms to reclaim our culture for truth, family, freedom, a modicum of common sense, and put parents and moms' rights back in the forefront, then reach out to Kelley. We've got an Ohio Facebook page. I think it's Moms for America Ohio, or Ohio Moms for America, one of the two. But you can also find it through our website, momsforamerica.us. And again, pitch her book again, because you need it. Get this book, Kelley Williams Bolar, The Mom. And I already pre-ordered mine on Amazon. So.
Okay. And I want to real quick. Oh my God. Yeah. What was I thinking? Of course, you got to give praise to God. So, yes, I'm just so grateful, and I'm so thankful that God was able to pull me through this at the darkest times. Yes. I always have to give praise to God. So I just want to say that real quick, because I don't ever want to do an interview without thanking God. He is everything to me, and he was able to get me through everything. And then I also want to make a real quick point. The subtitle of it, and I don't know if you saw this, it is The Mom, and it is the Kelley Williams Bolar story. But there's a subtitle to it, and it's called Justice is Just Like Beauty is in the Eye of the Beholder. But did I explain to you, and I'm going to make this very fast. That phrase came from the prosecutor. When they were getting their jury together, And we started our jury and we started the process, and they were prosecuting me and my father in the courtroom. He looked over at me and my dad and he said, justice is just like beauty. It's in the eye of the beholder. And my dad looked at me. He said, we are in trouble. We are in trouble, because we had never heard of it phrased that way. So I explained that in my book, why I say that as a subtitle down at the bottom. So that's all. That's it.
No, that is fantastic. Kelley, I can't tell you how excited I am that we connected. I thank Rebecca all the time for that connection.
Me too. I love her.
I'm grateful for your courage. I'm thrilled beyond measure to have you a part of our team. And Ohio has a powerful presence with Kelley Bolar. And I do check her out, get the book, go to Moms for America, Ohio, get connected, and let's take this mighty movement of moms across the country in a powerful way to give moms the rights. Came from God, okay? I love that you brought up God, because
Absolutely.
Our rights, there is no such thing as a constitutional right. Our rights come from God. They are divine and inherent. The Constitution protects them. Therefore, we as mothers need to protect and defend that Constitution, and we need to know what it says. You said it in the middle of your interview. We need to know our rights. I cannot express that enough. Moms, you heard it from Kelley. We need to know our rights. Let's get connected. Let's stay connected, and let's put our country back on track. So visit us at momsforamerica.us. On the Homefront, again, is on hold for a while, but we will be back, and we will be doing lots of cool events coming down the line, and some surprises, too, that we'll be letting you know about. So until then, stay safe, stay healthy, but most importantly, stay free. God.